Bolt up, Bolt fam. It is that time again for Charger Syndicate live stream, wherever you may be. Show off your bolts in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Let's get this channel up to 1K. That is the goal. Let every Charger fan know we are live here tonight because we got a lot to talk about. And with our third and final preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. Appreciate all of you guys for joining me on here on Charger Syndicate. We got a lot to really kind of break down and also giving you some news headliners, of course, what's been going on with the Chargers lately up in camp. I loved with what I saw just today and a couple days ago because the Chargers, they have been throwing the football a lot. And Justin Herbert, he looks like he's not even hurt at all. Like the guy is throwing accurately. The guy is throwing just the same as he always does. Just ridiculous throws. So Justin Herbert being out of the boot is such a good feeling. I'm so excited for this year that I cannot wait for week one. I am already pumped, ready, and these hater fans are going to want to watch out for week one. This is definitely going to be one. Like lots of people are even myself included. We're going to be seeing so much of just the Chargers with what they've done thus far. And we're going to see them literally torching this Raiders defense. They are going to be torching them. So to kind of get in a bit with Chargers news up to this point so far, going to be bringing up a little bit, but we're also going to be breaking down the previous games from both ends. We already had seen from last week against the LA Rams, where it was more of a trench warfare kind of game for the Chargers more than anything. Unfortunately, we don't have a good quality backup. We don't even have that capable backup at all. And for this game against the Cowboys, Easton Stick starting again. Why? Why on earth would we end up just seeing more of what we need to get, what we've already gotten right now with Easton Stick? He's not the answer. And you could clearly see this. Like Easton Stick, I understand that he was making progresses. Okay, and maybe that's what many people want to hear, but it was clear. Like, he was moving the football down. I'm going to give him that. But you cannot fumble at the 1 yard line at all, and neither in your next possession you go and throw a pick to the safety. So I don't understand why that, we need to see any more of Easton Stick. I don't understand it. And maybe they're trying, maybe they have that much faith than what I do. I don't know about how you guys at Bolt fam feel, but I've lost faith with that. I know he's good as far as running out the pocket, running forward, like all the rest of this other stuff. Like he's a scrambler. I get that. But we need a capable thrower, though, too. I can't just have a guy literally have the arm of a 22 mil rifle that just looks like BB guns. I can't have that. I don't think either of us can have it. So, again, I have nothing against the kid, but it is very clear that he's not capable of being that backup quarterback for Justin Herbert if something was to go wrong. I just don't see it. And this is why I think that the Chargers at some point got to make a move. You got to make something happen. For the record, just about this week, 3 days ago, the Chargers ended up releasing quarterback Max Duggan. We did not. Let's be honest here. Max Duggan, he was not going to translate well into the NFL. Sorry. but it just wasn't it. And I like him, and I liked the fact when the Chargers drafted Max Duggan, it's because he wanted that extra voice for Quentin Johnston. I mean, that's initially what it was. You wanted that extra guy in this locker room to really kind of tell you what Quentin Johnston is all about. So now that he's gone, the Chargers really have to shake up this quarterback room, and that means that Luis Perez now has moved up on the depth chart. So I just don't understand why that with our quarterback situation, why are we not giving enough reps for Luis Perez? The guy's accurate. He's much more accurate than Easton Stick. So I don't understand why that we have to see more of what we already know about Easton Stick. Just why? I don't get it. I just feel like the Chargers at some point, you're going to need to end up making some sort of move or bringing somebody in as a quality backup quarterback, because there are teams that are willing to make a trade for a late rounder. There's a couple of real good names. I'll get more into detail with it. But kind of going back to last week against the Rams in that second preseason game, I love what I've seen with the Chargers defensively. The fact that the defense is starting to allow less than 20 points a game just puts a big smile on my face. And when we watch guys like Junior Colson, we watch Dean Leonard, we've watched that one linebacker, Lee, who's really, really good, by the way. I like him. I think he's capable of making that depth chart. Tierre Tart, he finally came in, plugged himself in, and I thought he actually looked really good. And that's all a part of Jesse Minter's philosophy on defense. So the Chargers, this defense, this is one of these defenses that people are sleeping on. This is not a Brandon Staley defense anymore. So, and go ahead and let them. Go ahead and let them doubt this defense. Because I am seeing everything that I've needed to see. And it's going to continue to get better. And for the most part, they're going to keep adding in guys that are going to want to play with this defense. And by the way, they've added in another UFL player, linebacker, just to be an extra on the depth chart. You can never not have enough depth on each of those important positions. So I think that, and this just goes to show you that this defense needed a lot of help, and they needed a better direction than what Brandon Staley was giving them. We're finally getting it for the first time in a long time, and we have a bunch of facilitators that are up there and finally at the linebacker position. Because I've liked it. I've seen a bunch of passes get deflected. Dean Leonard really showed up. So I love what I saw. So just to kind of give more of that recap, I'm coming back in here to the recap here into this game, offensively and defensively. So, like I said, I just felt like the offense looked so stagnant, and that's because our backup situation sucks. And it's hard. And again, we know that obviously Justin Herbert is quarterback one. There's no denying it, and there's no question. We know he's quarterback one. But it would be nice to have at least a backup plan in case, what happened last year ends up happening. But the only difference is we now have an offensive-minded coach rather than a defensive coach who likes to pull the reins a lot and become a control freak. So this is better now. This is different. So recapping up onto the Chargers' loss against the Rams, 13-9, the defense played outstanding. They came away with an interception against Stetson Bennett, And they did not really allow too much. They didn't allow too much, this team. So this is why that I hate having to go through statistics, honestly, because when you look at it, Easton Stick was 8 of 13. Yeah, he threw for 85 yards, 6.5 that he was averaging up on there, but he has an interception, was sacked, and has a rating of 48.6. I mean, this is no excuse. And you fumbled at the 1 yard line. Like, this is how bad it is. And Easton Stick, as I've said, he's much more lethal on his legs. That's really all it is. It's like RPO play. It does not work. Like, it can't work with us. You got to have a quarterback that is very capable of being accurate. That's why Luis Perez, and he showed it, 13 of 20, 78 yards, 3.9. So, and he had a rating of 72.5. The writing's there up on the wall. I just don't understand why that we're still hanging on to Easton Stick, and then he gets yet his last start against the Dallas Cowboys this week. I don't understand that whatsoever. I'm a little befuddled about that. But the run game definitely showed out. Kamani Vidal finally showed what he's capable of. 11 carries, 49 yards, 4.5. His longest was a 13-yarder. So Kamani Vidal, he's finally starting to get into his own, and he's cooking a bit. So it's a slow cook, but it is one that is fun to watch. And so Kamani Vidal finally getting involved only just means that, like, our run game, it's only going to go up from here. So Vidal is showing his case why he wants to move up onto the depth chart. And I think we finally got at least a gist of what that looked like this past week. Simi Fehoko is so capable of being another receiver to Justin Herbert's weapon arsenal. I mean, Fehoko, he did it again today in practice. The guy is showing he belongs. He wants to be on this wide receiver chart. I've seen so many very good quality catches from Simi Fehoko, and the chemistry is there. I'm not saying that Fehoko is going to be a better receiver than a lot of these top dogs, but let me tell you something. It is good to have options. It's so good to have options. So it's Simi Fehoko, even if somebody went down or you utilized this whole wide receiver room, Fehoko could come in and plug in. I mean, think about it. The Rams found yet another receiver again in the late round in Whittington. And he looked pretty damn good. So the Chargers could find these hidden gems. And Simi Fehoko, who was here with this team last year and came in, as all of us watched in that Chicago Bears Sunday night game, like, Fehoko stepped up. So why not give him that job? I'm serious. Why not give him that job? Guy's got really good route running skills. The guy's got great hands, as we've seen. In the 3 targets, he caught 2 passes, 52 yards, and averaged 26. And these were even yards after the catch. So I think for Fehoko, not bad to have an option. I loved with what I saw with him. And he is proving to me why he deserves to be on this roster spot, and he should. So that's where I would consider it. Quentin Johnston, of course, acrobatic catch. The one that he had for 19 yards. What a play that was. And by the way, he was really good in practice today. And he was also good in the previous practice. He had 8 catches from a lot of throws that Justin Herbert had. And yet many people want to heckle saying he's not using his hands. He's not using his hands. Get last year out of your head. Like, this is a much better and a much improved Quentin Johnston. But I will believe that when we have the first 4 weeks of the season. So, but he is showing his improvements, which is really important and it's so good. So I'm glad Quinn Johnston is getting involved. I'm glad that he's finally starting to come into his own where he does not look so frantic than what he was in rookie season. And then not to mention, this coaching staff is literally putting him in the best positions to succeed. They're not setting him up for failure. They're going to utilize him in the best ways possible. I think they're finally kind of understanding what type of receiver Quinn Johnston is. And the fact that he's utilizing his hands and he's utilizing every part of his abilities, because we have got to unlock that potential because of the yards after catch ability that he's so good at. So Quinn Johnston is not the same Quentin Johnston from last year. This is a much better and a much improved Quinn Johnston through progress. We should all be happy about that. We should all be thanking Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman for literally turning this guy around. I am so happy about this because this is something that really truthfully needed to happen. So Quinn Johnston is finally showing his potential. But yeah, I just think that when Ladd McConkey came in, he only had one catch on one play for only about 5 yards. I would have expected Ladd McConkey would have gotten more looks because I got to see this connection, because I got to see how well this connection is going to be all season long with Justin Herbert. I still have to see that. So hopefully he gets more targets. Hopefully he gets a little bit more brief looks. But the other thing too is that at least with Justin Herbert, because even when he was throwing today, Brendan Rice was getting involved. Ladd McConkey looked his best. Quinn Johnston's looking his best. This stuff is all working. This stuff is starting to cook. So I'm really excited about this wide receiver core. I know not a ton of people. I mean, hell, Colin Cowherd literally went onto his show and took the Chargers off of his potential playoff team and put us in and left us out of the whole thing and put in the Miami Dolphins. A Dolphins team that has a quarterback that cannot end up playing in the cold. Like, are you for real? You're that afraid of just the Chargers of right now going through these growing pains, going through progress. Like, are you that afraid? It's really weird to me. But again, I mean, we all as Charger fans know Jim Harbaugh's objective. We also see his vision. And whether they do or they don't make the playoffs this year. But we are seeing progress. We are also seeing the change in just the control as a head coach to control both sides, not be rigid, like be open to many suggestions. That's what Jim Harbaugh does. So I just was like, okay, all right. You take us off. Don't say we didn't warn you. I mean, you're going to see the dog days of the December, January football. And then we'll see who survives then. But I know the Dolphins have a better receiving core. I know they love speed. I know Mike McDaniel is a very fun coach to watch. I like him. I'm not going to lie. He's a very fun coach to watch. He's got a great personality. He's funny. But I'm not intimidated by the Dolphins. I just think that there were points that and think about it. We're only 1-1 against the Dolphins with Tua. All right, we beat the Dolphins that much. And that's even with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So, all right, leave us out of the playoff picture. That's fine. This was what it was defensively. Tarheeb still with a pass defended with 5 total tackles, and 3 of them were solos. Dian Henley with a pass deflection. Dian Henley, I'm so happy that this guy is getting more and more reps. And Jim Harbaugh and even Jesse Minter is finally starting to see Dian Henley's worth. The guy is a beast. The guy is waiting to come out and feast on those haters. I'm telling you, man, he's going to feast on that haters team, bro. I'm telling you. I know, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Kay, is that. But you could see the difference with the coaching. You could see the difference with the schemes. Jesse Minter's not going to put Khalil Mack in that position. No way. Khalil Mack has one job. Give the haters Mack attacks. Give every single opposing offense Mack attacks. That's all he's got to do. You leave the facilitation to Junior Colson, to Dian Henley, and to Denzel Perryman and the rest of that linebacking core. I just couldn't even believe it either. Like, I watched a lot of those schemes, and you could see the difference between Brandon Staley's defense and Jesse Minter's. And what's hard about that is that, like, Derek Ainsley, the defensive coordinator, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything with Brandon Staley. So, but you could see the difference up in this. Dian Henley looks like an absolute beast. I'm excited to watch him. Thomas Harper also got involved as well. He had a pass deflection, 3 tackles, all three of them were solos. Shaquille Quarterman had 1 sack in the game. 3 totals, 2 solos. And then Troy Dye also had a tackle for a loss. So Troy Dye, by the way, he's actually a very, very good he's a very good option piece. I like him. I think what's funny about that is getting somebody who was familiar with Herbert at Oregon, but then moving from Minnesota to the Chargers. I mean, the guy looks comfortable. Love it. Yes, Quarterman was. Quarterman was the one who covered who caused the fumble. We got the forced fumble. But yeah, I mean, you're seeing that where Thomas Harper, he's got the pass deflection. Tarheeb Still, Dian Henley. Teair Tart, by the way, with 2 tackles and both of them were solos. He also had a tackle for a loss. Teair Tart is really fitting into this defensive scheme that Jesse Minter has. That's why I liked the signing that the Chargers made with him. That guy is really something else for this defensive front. And a front that needed help. A front that needed to be solidified after all these years. And I think we found it with Teair Tart. I mean, think about it. Him, Morgan Fox, multiples. I mean, yeah, this guy is really going to, I'm going to love watching him playing up on that defensive front. Anytime that Jesse Minter's playing his really good 4-3 stuffing defense, I'm going to enjoy watching that. No opposing running game is going to love facing against that front 7. I guarantee you. We need Tart to tackle Devontae through the memes, though. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I agree. That's who it is. Shane Lee. I actually low-key like that guy, Shane Lee. That guy had it's funny, he had a pass deflection when I last saw that one play. The guy plays very good coverage defense. That's really good. He's a good facilitator. Oh, yeah, Poona Ford and with Teair Tart hogging that middle of the – oh, yeah. When he's in the middle of that line. And that's the funny thing is that Teair Tart will facilitate wherever the football is running towards, whether that's the running back or the quarterback. He's a facilitator that he's going to go with wherever the ball is. So if you're going to end up giving it up to the running back, and depending on the cuts, right? So if let's say you're going through an I form, if you're going to try to do a straight bullet ahead, he's just going to move over to wherever side, left, right side, and he's just going to stuff it. He's going to complement with the rest of that front seven. So Teair Tart, I mean, the guy is such an underrated pickup. That's why I think I forms, and even when you got the pistol formations and all the rest of it, he's just keeping an eye out for the quarterback and what he's going to decide to do, running the ball, or he's going to end up, going into the pocket to try to pass. That's what he's going to do. But Dean Leonard really showed up. 2 tackles, both of them were solos, 3 pass deflections, and an interception. Dean Leonard is showing up, and he's another really good option to have in that secondary. Because you got to think, with the rookies that we have coming up with Cam Hart and Tarheeb Steele, it's good to have depth. And I think Dean Leonard absolutely is showing up his stuff. So I love with what I saw, and especially one that was at a scoring position on the opposing side. He came up big with that interception. So I loved it. Zamari Walton also had a pass deflection. So of our whole defense, we had 60 total tackles, with 47 of them were solos. 4 tackles for losses, 1 sack, and 7 passes deflected, and only 1 quarterback hit. This defense ain't joking around. This defense is willing to adjust and play better than what it has been in the last few years. This Chargers defense, it's going to take a lot. People are sleeping on that defense. I mean, because you are seeing exactly the blueprints that Jesse Minter is putting together with this group. And especially when you're adding in other key pieces in key positions. I mean, that's gonna provide a lot of help. I loved with what I saw with the defense last week. I think if we have the same defense that's playing shut down, like, I know it's preseason, but if we have the same defense that was shut down last week against the Rams, regardless of the loss, but if we have that same vibe against the Dallas Cowboys with Trey Lance, I'll be happy with it. Because then that means, and I know we don't think a whole lot highly of Trey Lance, but that'll make me feel good, especially when we have to deal with a quarterback of his stature. Okay, imagine it if we have to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, or we play Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, or we play Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I want this defense to be shut down similarly, and I hate seeing this, but similarly with what the Raiders did last year with promoting up Antonio Pierce. Because they only gave us 17 points per opponent. That was the average. I like that everyone is underrating our offense. We have a lot of people to go through too, and Herbert is going to spread the ball around, and no one is going to be able to double a specific player. Absolutely. And so that's what's the funny thing, right? Think about that. Think outside the box. People are looking at us like we have no weapons whatsoever for Justin Herbert's arsenal. We do. They may not be names you even have been you're not even familiar with. But maybe that's the whole plan. Have no namers so that way then it makes it harder for them to even have to figure that out for certain defenses. Who is Justin Herbert going to throw the ball to the most? I think that is a great thing to look at. I hope Bosa is playing game 1. Okay, so here's the deal, Brian. So from what I've heard is that Joey Bosa, because they haven't heard anything of him as of lately, but they are saying that he is still expected to start week 1. But even regardless of this, This is why that we have plenty of depth at the edge rushing position when getting Bud Dupree. And you also have Thule on his second year, and after what we just saw last year. Like, this is why you have depth. This is why that you have every single option that is high quality. They're not having to be specific players. It doesn't matter to me. As long as you can execute a job. As long as you can execute a job, like, that's all I ask you to do. And that's the funny thing, is that even when Joey Bosa was down, Thule walked away last year second in Rookie of the Year votes because he had 10.5 sacks with Khalil Mack. So I'm not worried. We have plenty of depth. Yeah, see, Kane knows as well. Chargers are going to be very good. Harbaugh wants it this year. Oh, I agree, Leo. I mean, people are really starting to sleep on the Chargers' potentiality. Why? Because what mainstream media is literally putting out there? Who cares? Like, let them hate or let them doubt. I don't care. Like, mainstream media is trying to make such a bad look for the Chargers because why? They think we don't have a receiver. They think that because we have Greg Roman, that Justin Herbert's not going to throw the ball. Like, all this other stuff. Or J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, they're going to get hurt again. Okay, whatever. Go ahead and follow with whatever mainstream media is feeding you these days. I don't care. But all I know is I'm not the only one that is constantly checking in on everything that is happening with the LA Chargers, okay? I just had David Drogemeyer on last week from Locked On Chargers. Him and Dan do an amazing job with Chargers content at Locked On Chargers. I even have a very good friend of mine, NFL Mike, who's on the roundtable this year. He is defending this team, and he is giving every single honest perspective about what the team is going to look like this year. And then, not to mention, our big guy, the director, is also giving us great insights as well. So we are seeing this. I mean, we're covering this thing every single day. So let mainstream media go ahead and put that narrative up on there. It doesn't matter to me, because what matters to me is the production you are going to see on the field. That's what I care about. That production is going to be there on the field. That's what I care about. I am excited to see how Joe Alt does against Max Crosby. Oh, yeah. I mean, so that's the other thing, too, is Joe Alt clearly was the best pick that the Chargers could pick. We looked at what he's looked like thus far in camp. The guy's a beast. The guy is such a beast. And he's already carrying up to like I think he's carrying up to like an 89.5. I think last time that I checked. Like, you are starting to see that potential with that Chargers offensive line. The guy is just explosive at his position, and nobody is getting past him. Not one person. I think I had it on my X account. I think I had it saved. But that, like, the look on this is just insane. And the fact that we have both shutdown tackles between Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, these guys are no jokes, man. And it's going to be so hard for a guy like Max Crosby to literally, like, puncture through this offensive line. And I honestly think, like, you're going to see a difference with that. That D-line is not going to like facing off against against this offensive line. I can assure you that. So I love with what I saw there. Just want to see if I can find the percentage that was shown for Joe Alt. But yeah, it was like I said, I'm excited the fact that we have a shutdown right side tackle. So I can't seem to find it, but oh well. I'm just so excited about it. I really am. And the fact that, like, yeah, our right side looks shut down, our left side looks shut down. The middle of it, we have several options. It's going to look shut down too. Let me get to all the comments. Best edge room in the NFL. Oh yeah, people are sleeping up on that edge room. Brian, I think it's going to help since we have Disley and Hurst to help cover on whatever side Max is on as well. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing too. Will Disley's a very good run blocking tight end. And that's initially with what he is coming in to do the second that the Chargers signed him. So again, I like the Will Disley signing because it gives us an extra blocker up front, because especially when we know that if a lineman does not execute on his role, then at least we have other options. We also have support. So that's why I love it that having Will Disley there. I mean, yeah, he may catch a couple passes here and there, but he's not solely made as a pass-catching tight end. He's more meant for run blocking. So having that guy there, and for those of you that saw when they were running up onto the left side and he was right there up onto the inside, providing that extra blockage for our run game. I mean, that's a guy that's willing to play that trench warfare for sure. Acho, it's a clown car driver. I know. I always clown with like Acho, man. I really do. That guy thinks he knows everything about the Chargers. Yeah, right. You only played short amount of years in the NFL, dude. Come on. Don't even. I hope so. Max has dominated our right tackle in the past. Oh yeah, he has. I mean, oh yeah. I watch every podcast and everything that is on Twitter. Michael McLean. Yeah, Michael McLean's really good. He's very good. And I mean, I keep up even with Daniel Popper and Daniel Jeremiah. I keep up with a lot of those guys. Those guys are good. McConkey said it. Be ready because Herbert will throw us open. Oh, yeah. 100%. The bottom of the roster turnover is crazy good. It really, really is. I mean, think about it. The bottom of this roster on the depth chart for the defense is just scary, scary good. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that we came away with 60 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and 7 passes deflected just only tells you that they want to play shutdown defense. That's why I think people are not really paying attention to this. I wonder if they bring in Hundley or DTR after roster cutdowns. Can't imagine they keep Stick as the primary backup. Okay, so this is the deal. So Easton Stick is going to be starting against the Cowboys one last time. I'm not thrilled about it, but I am going to have a video posted because I do want to talk about the backup quarterbacks that we could potentially go and pursue. Because I just think you really have to get serious at that backup quarterback position. And I think Jim Harbaugh does have that in the back of his head as well, because there are several options up out there. Now, I would have put a video out there. I probably still will for a potential of Ryan Tannehill. But here's the problem with Ryan Tannehill. He wants $12 million to be a backup. No way. I'm not paying $12 million for somebody to be a backup. Too expensive. And not really worth breaking the bank on for that as a backup. Okay, there's no way. I'm not pulling for that. So I think, and I know there is Tyler Hundley, and I like the kid. I really, really do. I think he could be very an interesting option, but I just feel like that the guy that I have my eyes on is DTR. I think Dorian Thompson Robinson, I mean, the guy can run, the guy can throw accurately, and he's just as quality of a backup that you could get. And he's young. So why not? You got two youngsters right there with Justin Herbert and with DTR. And DTR can come back home where he went to UCLA. So why not? I'm not opposed to that idea. And I think in the end, like from what flashes that I've seen from Cleveland's preseason, DTR looks good. It's unfortunate because they are dealing with Deshaun Watson, and they also have one other backup that's there. So he would be quarterback 3 there. So that's why, I mean, like, if they're willing to trade, they're going to want to trade for a late rounder with at least a good asking price. And you know what? That's fine. I'm all for that idea because I got to have somebody that's much more quality than a hockey stick. I'm serious. Okay. So reading up with the comments before we get into the preview against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. You know, all will be ready for Max, guarantee. Oh yeah, he will be ready for him. I hope we stomp the Raiders. Yep, because trust me, that is burnt in the back of my head of that 63-pointer that they keep bragging about and that they never shut up about at all. Like, I'm ready to put the money where their mouth is. And we're going to give it back to them. 63 points. I hate to say it like this on this live stream, but we're going to give it back to them with no Vaseline and no lube. I am ready for it. I mean, and this is what's funny is that they're so proud of putting up 63 points against a freaking backup quarterback. Like, so annoying as it is. So that's why I have that burned on the back of my head, because that would never happen if Herbert was quarterbacking. For real. Locked On Raiders show admit that they won't be able to stop the run. Yeah, and you know what's funny is I also have a regular show, Leo, because I actually did talk with Q Myers at Locked On Raiders, and he's a very good guy. Very good guy. You know, he was very honest of the whole idea, but even for him to admit saying that they are not going to stop that run only tells you one thing. And they got Christian Wilkins. They got a bunch of guys up there up on that front. So what does that tell you? Yeah, you heard it from a Raider guy. Okay, and I will have a Raider guy up on here every time when we do our week predictions, because I think it might be a little bit difficult. I might try to slide it in where I could do in-game live streams, but I will have a bunch of people that I have very good contacts with that cover all of the teams that we have on our schedule. So I'm excited about it. And the first one, I've got so many of them. I mean, they have clowned on me, you know, respectfully on their channel. And I was like, okay. You know, they don't believe we exist. This is why I tell people all the time when it comes to in the chats. I always tell them, show off your high voltage. Share it out. Share it out to all the Charger fans up out there, because they need to know we exist. They need to know that the Chargers fan base still exists. We ain't gone nowhere. So, yeah, for him to say that, I mean, that just tells you they do not feel that much confidence in their run game and their run defense. Herbert has faith in Stick. Oh, yeah, right. Can't wait for Minter's D scheme. Absolutely. No on Tannehill. Yep, exactly. I said the same exact thing. If you're wanting $12 million, I would much rather deal with less than that. Yes, DTR. I love that Joe Ortiz is actively signing players trying to get the best possible option. Tom Telesco did not in the past. And here's what's funny about that, Brian, to piggyback up off of that, is that the difference with Joe Ortiz is he is getting depth quality guys. That's the one thing Tom Telesco never did. because Telesco would rather stick to the cheap side. Why? Because Dean Spanos was cheap. Like, everybody knows that with the Chargers' history of our organization, because Dean Spanos has always been known as the cheap owner. Every freaking time. And it pissed me off. Because especially when you need quality guys in many of their spots, it drove me nuts. I never understood it. So this time now with Joe Ortiz, I feel confident because I have plenty of depth. We got plenty of depth on a bunch of spots except for quarterback. That's the only one that we need. And I could argue we could make a case for maybe one more corner, but I think we're pretty set. I think we're pretty solid. But yeah, you could feel the difference with general managing from what we got from Joe Ortiz this year than what we got from Tom Telesco in the last few years since he's been the GM. And now he's the GM over there. So they're getting a chance to feel what it was like for us to having Tom Telesco there. Couple more to read off. If Herbert likes stick, make him a coach. Yeah. You make it hurt, no loop. Yeah, exactly. Straight cactus, no loop for the Raiders. Exactly, okay. Exactly. Make that thing so prickly they don't even want to sit. They don't even want to sit. 48 fan here. Never been so excited. Hell yeah, Leo. And like I tell a lot of people, is like we have diehard San Diegan fans out there. All the San Diego fans, like these are the realest ones. I've been a fan since I was 7 years old. And to be able to cover my team, I mean, it's an absolute honor and privilege to being a part of the Syndicate family and to be able to cover it and hanging out and enjoying this moment with all of you guys here tonight up on the live and for many more future lives. So I appreciate all of you guys. We'll read up on here. I hope they play Kaimani Vidal at this next game. I think they probably will. That has been the topic of discussion now. The focus on it is, and we just got the announcement that 15 starters are not going to be playing in this final preseason game. And I think we kind of have a clear coat of the 15 starters that are not going to be playing. So that's good. It means give all the youngsters a rep. Give all the youngsters a rep. So I want to see your channel grow. Absolutely. And that's the thing. This is what people don't realize. This is fresh. This is freaking fresh. So I'm very proud and I'm very honored to be a part of this Syndicate group, to be covering LA Chargers, and to just be enjoying the moment with all of you guys. Really, really do. But and like I said, I'm on the road to 1K. We have got to get there. We got to get there to 1K because there are special gifts as well that come with that. So let's get ourselves up into 1K. All right, that's the goal. That's the goal throughout the entirety of the season, and let's blow it away past 1K. Let's get this channel up as much as we possibly can because Charger fans need to know we got another up-and-coming Charger guy along with a lot of great Charger content creators out there that knows a lot of things about Charger history. So, I don't want Rice on the practice squad. Fajoko might beat him out. I mean, but here's the thing though, is there's always room for improvements, and at the same time, but this is what's funny though, is that we don't even know our solidified receiving core yet until everything's all panned out. So that's kind of the beauty of it. All right, so I do want to end up breaking down this up-and-coming matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. So in their last matchup against the Raiders, they beat them 27-12. And this is one thing that I wanted everybody to kind of look at from here is in this matchup, we are going to be dealing with Trey Lance. And Trey Lance in that last game against the Raiders was 15 of 23 with 151 yards, 6.6 yards average with a touchdown and no pick, and he had a rating of 98. And he also came away, was the sole carrier, 7 carries, 34 yards, and a rushing touchdown. So he had 2 total touchdowns in the last game against the Raiders. So, this is why that I think with our defense and what we've played like now in 2 preseason games, this defense is already starting to prove and it's already starting to show that they want to be a shutdown defense. Okay, they are changing this whole narrative from here. So I think going up against Trey Lance, and like I said, I don't really have a lot of sheer confidence at all in Trey Lance because we've seen over the years, like he just has not been able to stay healthy and he hasn't been able to really kind of translate into the NFL. I think he'd be a quality backup more than anything else. But as far as being a starter, like we've just seen this, hadn't really happened. I have seen charter channels grow from 3 to over 1,000. This year is yours. Absolutely, Leo. That is my goal from here. That is absolutely my goal. But yeah, I think Trey Lance, he is certainly going to be a real good test for us for a few reasons because the fact of one, he does have a decent arm. So it gives us an idea what our defense will look like if we faced off against Patrick Mahomes, we faced off against Joe Burrow, we faced off against Lamar Jackson, and even in a sense, even when we face off against Will Levis, there's especially quarterbacks of the stature that are poised in the pocket, accurate throwing, capable of throwing the deep ball. So if we could get pressure, and especially against that Cowboys offensive line that they've addressed offensive line in back-to-back years, that is something that our defense, that's going to be a very good test for. Because I also want to see what the secondary with all of our new guys and all of our quality veterans we have right now, to see what they look like when the ball is much more in the air. I mean, you think we would have gotten all of that from Stetson Bennett, but oh no. This is going to be interesting for this game this upcoming week. Deuce Vaughn, he's been getting at least a couple carries, 5 for 34 yards, 6.8 he's averaged. So they're showing Deuce Vaughn in a couple areas. And again, I don't think they're going to realize how well our run defense has started to look thus far. Because we're not even averaging out that much for our opponents now in these preseason games. So that's going to be a real good general test for our front 7. Receiving wise, Racey McMath had 3 total targets and caught all 3 of them, 54 yards and 18 on the average. So, and right now, here's the deal. The Cowboys are dealing with CeeDee Lamb being sidelined because of a contract situation. So, but why I'm so interested in this matchup in particular is because you guys have seen how we've favored out against the Cowboys the last few matchups, the last 2 matchups for that more than anything else. It has not been good. And at the same time, that first time, I believe it was in 2021, 22, I think. No, it was in 21, actually. That first time meeting the Cowboys in the Justin Herbert era, the Cowboys literally won because the Chargers beat themselves on defense. It was the most undisciplined football. We had the most penalties for the most yards, and guys were showing off. This was undisciplined football. It was embarrassing. and we competed and we went toe to toe with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. So that's one of them that I know that it is a preseason matchup, and we're not going to see Dak. We're not going to see CD. Probably are not going to see Micah Parsons either. But I would like to get a win against the Dallas Cowboys just because it just kind of goes to show. Because I mean, we hear a lot of this with we hear a lot of this with Cowboy fans almost all the time. So I would just like for us to get a win against them, just to kind of put a good smile on my face. I like it every time when we kind of joke around with Cowboy fans all the time. In fact, I know a couple of really good Cowboy content creators. Jordan Tucker of CFL Sports, really good. Law Nation, I was up and on his show a while back. And man, the amount of knowledge that he had and realism with the Dallas Cowboys, another great guy, fun to hang out with. And then I've also got a really good friend of mine who was a part of my previous network I worked with, Doug Brooks of the Big Time Show. He's also really, really good too. So I do want to show the schedule as a refresher to everybody. So this year's going to be fun. This year has a lot of improvements and a lot of prove-it factors. And this is one that we're ready for. So to kind of get a general consensus idea, and I would even go through my record prediction as well while we're up here upon this live stream, because the fact that preseason is finally going to be over, guys, and and we're finally going to be starting the new season under Jim Harbaugh. I'm excited about it. I am really, really excited for this. This is probably going to arguably be the best look that it's ever been. So I'm getting geared for it, and I cannot wait for this team to storm the field, because there is a lot of proven factors from here. All right. So I want to show this off for the schedule to get everybody a good idea. So thanks to our good friends at Chargers World. So this is how the schedule looks. Once again, as a real good refresher for everybody, because there are going to be a lot of testing matchups. We're going to be tested this year, but I have full confidence in Jim Harbaugh that we are going to be steered into the right side of succession. I really do. So we got the Raiders, the Panthers, the Steelers, and the Chiefs have the bye week in week 5. Broncos, which is funny because I'm waiting to see what the ticket prices are going to look like. And I would love to go to that game here in Denver, watching the Chargers play the Broncos, because it'll be Bo Nix versus Justin Herbert part 2. Because both of them, they met in college when Bo Nix was at Auburn and Justin Herbert was at Oregon. But the only downside of it is that Bo Nix got the last laugh and Auburn won. I think this is going to be well worth the bragging rights of who the better Oregon quarterback was. Because we saw this in 2020 when Derek Carr went down with that injury on the hamstring on the road in my hometown in Vegas, and the Chargers pulled off a win against Marcus Mariota, the Battle of the Ducks. We're playing Battle of the Ducks again, but also, too, it's also a battle of that repeat from Auburn against Oregon at the time. So I'm excited about that game. I would love to see what the ticket prices look like. I would love to go to that game. We got the Cardinals, the Saints, the Browns, the Titans, the Bengals, the Ravens, Falcons, Chiefs, Buccaneers, Broncos, Patriots, and Raiders. So I'm going to break it down for you. Because I do believe that this season, this is where the season of improvements and at the same time prove it moments are going to happen this year for the Chargers. And the way that the defense, the way that everybody right now in training camp has been feeling up to this point, we are just so amped up and excited to watch this team storm the field. So, in my opinion, and I'll give it to you guys here on this live stream. Week 1, at home against the Raiders, you bet your ass we're going to end up winning that game. So I would make that a win. We go on the road to Carolina. I could see us winning that game. Because Carolina, yeah, they've upgraded a couple pieces and they want to see the best of Bryce Young. But I just think it's going to take a lot more than that. And especially with the way that the defense is revamping. Pittsburgh, we're on the road. So far from what I've heard, as far as Steelers camp, they're a little bit cringing over Russell Wilson. And we've seen that in 2 years, 4 times, again, in Denver. Like, not good. So I think, So that's my thought exactly. So we go 3-0, and then at home against the Chiefs, I'll be reasonable about this. I think we lose that. And here's the reason why. The last few times we faced against the Chiefs at home, we have never been good. Like, Justin Herbert will compete with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but our defense every single time had always collapsed against Mahomes and Andy Reid. But we just have never been able to find that groove at home. So I think we honestly lose this one up at home. But it only gets better from here. So the bye week, this is where I think Jim is really going to start to thoroughly evaluate this roster and at the same time evaluate what he's got. So I'd be comfortable with a 3-1 start. I don't think it's that far out of the books. And by the way, the NFL is doing Jim Harbaugh a little bit more of a favor because the fact that he's coming back and to see what kind of coaching style he's got, yeah. I think it's very possible we go 3-1 on that stint. Week 6, at Denver, it's this is a toss-up game in my opinion, but I have a feeling we would actually I think we would honestly lose that game in Denver because here's the thing. We get tested in that mile-high altitude all the time. Like, it's so challenging. It's so hard. But we do get challenged by that. So I'd say we drop that. On the road against the Cardinals on Monday night, I would say that's a win because ultimately the Cardinals, they're trying to build something special. And not to mention too, I mean, Jonathan Gannon, yeah, they had a very, very good ending of the season last year, but I think the Cardinals, they're still trying to kind of figure out their offense with Marvin Harrison Jr. and with Kyler Murray being back. I just think the Chargers are honestly going to be prepared for this game. And I mean, now the run defense is going to be tested with James Conner and Trey Benson. But I think we honestly fulfill ourselves. Week 8 at home against the Saints, I see that as a win. Because honestly, we are so familiarized with Derek Carr. Saints will not know what to do with themselves. They'll have no idea. Cleveland Browns on the road. And you know what's funny? So what I have right now, okay, so we were at 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, and then here we are against the Cleveland Browns. So we have had Cleveland's number for like the last few years, And the last game we played was actually a pretty good nail biter. Not going to lie to you, it was actually really, really good. Because that first time we faced them, that was a trade-off. It was a shootout all the way through and through. But I mean, we have been capable of competing and beating Cleveland. But I think honestly, I have to be real up on this one, and then we are on their turf. I kind of see us dropping this one. Kind of hard. It's hard for me to say that. So we'll be 5-3. Tennessee, payback win at home. These are the 3 straight road games. So payback at home, I see us nabbing a win with Tennessee, 6-3. The Bengals. So last few times that Justin Herbert and the Chargers have met against Joe Burrow, they've actually played pretty decent. I wouldn't say they've played great because the first time in the rookie season, I mean, before Justin Herbert started as a rookie, we beat the Bengals in that opener that you guys remember. So I think we are capable of playing with the Bengals this year. So I would nab that there is a win. So I think we have 7-3, if I am not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah. 1, 2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 7-3. Okay. Then we have the Monday night game against the Baltimore Ravens. I see us potentially losing that game, knowing how well John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson really play, to be honest with you. That's going to be a fun one for sure. But that would make us 7-4. And then we go on the road to Atlanta. Now this is one that I think is going to be interesting. Because Atlanta got a pass rush and they got Justin Simmons. I was feeling a bit confident in this game, but I'm kind of having a bit of second thoughts. If you really want me to be honest, I'm having a bit of second thoughts in this game. So I honestly do think we might drop that one. So we were 7-4, so now we're 7-5. This is the one that is so important in Week 14 on a Sunday Night Football that I've circled up multiple times, is that game on the road in Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs. That is our payback game. Because the only way that we honestly make a statement is unless we embarrass them on the road. And I see us winning that one, 8-5. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I see us winning that game at home, 9-5. And the Broncos at home, I have us winning that one, 10-5. And here's what's funny. We would only need to get one more win, depending on how the state of the AFC looks like, in order to really plug ourselves in the playoffs. So the Patriots on the road, and I was thinking about this a while, but I see us beating the Patriots on the road. New quarterback, new scheme. Now I know that we have not had a better number against the Patriots at all. So I would have us 11-5. And then by that point with the Raiders, because they're going to sit all the starters, that's where I think we may potentially lose to the Raiders on the road in Vegas and make us 11-6. So that's it, guys. I see us potentially going 11-6. Because again, we may be 10-7, which is also a possibility, but a lot of people feel like we're going to win 5 games again, or we're going to win 8, or may win 9. Like, that's the crazy part. What's up, HJ? Welcome up onto the channel. But that is my ideal schedule breakdown for the Chargers, is going 11-6. Or at least 10-7. And yet punching our ticket into the playoffs. So, HJ, Chargers will be 13-4 at worst. undefeated in division bet. Well, I mean, it's pretty bold. I'm not going to lie to you. Leo, we will beat Cleveland. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it could be a toss-up game. I just feel like because we've had Cleveland's number, and sometimes we may not always have that kind of result. So that's something to kind of keep in the back of our minds. It usually takes about 4 games to complete the gel period for new schemes. Usually, I would think it's like 5 to 6 games, honestly, but that's possible too, where you have at least like 4 games. I would have thought 5, 6, in my opinion, but that is a very, very good outlook. I believe Justin Herbert is going to throw the ball at least 65% of the time each game. Well, that's the funny thing, Brian, is like, because with what Harbaugh is instilling into this Chargers team is that we will be run heavy. Like, we are going to be playing battle through the trenches. But average in these games, I think Justin Herbert is going to probably throw about average 35 to 40 times a game, which I am okay with. And these are not any ordinary throws. These are actually accurate throws, and these are going to be smart ones that we know are going to move the chains and move us downfield because he is so capable of that. So I believe that is the possibility of what we may see with Greg Roman's offense, is that the run game is going to be so strong with that offensive line and the play action, and where it's going to not be so overly reliant on Justin Herbert like it was last year, where in some games he was throwing for over 50 plus times, which makes it so obvious for defenses to adjust and to where they can go and make the stops. So that is the part that I believe is going to be a positive adjustment for the Chargers. Just make the playoffs. Absolutely. That's the objective, is we're going to be here to just make the playoffs. Because that is where Jim Harbaugh is really going to do a lot of his damage, is if you get that man into the playoffs. And the same thing when it comes to Justin Herbert, because this is the thing, is the thing about Justin Herbert and what all of us recalled when they went into the playoffs and that game against the Jags, which I hate reliving again, but Herbert looked freaking amazing when it was a 27-0 lead. And imagine that. We had Jim Harbaugh after that 27-0 lead, we would have been unstoppable. No way would we have ever taken our foot off the gas. And that is what you're going to see the difference of. So, pray for playoff run. Yep. Harbaugh heard angels sing. What does that tell us? Oh, it's because he's envisioning this. He's absolutely envisioning what this team is going to look like this year. That's what it is. So, by the way, I wanted to bring this up because this is a signing that the Chargers ended up making. So earlier, the Chargers ended up signing another tight end, and they signed Isaac Rex, and they ended up waiving Michael Mason, the D lineman. So of note, Hayden Hurst, Will Dissly, and Tucker Fisk have not practiced yet this week. So as of right now, Isaac Rex, I have yet to do a couple breakdowns. I will have a video up about this signing, but could never go wrong with adding in at least another tight end. So, and I know that having a pass-catching tight end is going to be important for us in some of these roles, but I'm pretty sure somebody had broken down Isaac Rex at one point. So, hey, he's a young kid, and I think if we bring him in and we turn this into something positive, this could work. So why not? Let's give it a try. But that was the latest signing up from there. So ultimately, throughout the entirety of all of this stuff, we got the Cowboys this week, which is what I'm excited for, and I would love for us to come away with the win. Only just to make me feel well. Rex is 6'4", 240 with great hands. All right. I like the sound of that. I really do like the sound of that. Sounds a lot like a Herbert weapon right there. So the Cowboys. So we know this is going to be fun and interesting, and I'm not going to give a score prediction or any of the rest of that because we don't even care about that when it comes to preseason. All I'm looking for is for us to end the preseason on a positive note. And thus far, we are outside of our quarterback play. That's the only one that I'm really concerned with. But outside of that, our defense is looking a lot better. Our defense is looking strong. And Jesse Minter is cooking, which means a lot of teams are going to want to be careful because there's only so much poking left to do before kickoff of week 1 starts, before it is game on, baby. And I'm so ready for this. So I think it'll be a fun game. I think at the end of the day, it certainly will be a fun, interesting season this year. But I have full confidence in Jim Harbaugh. I have full confidence in Joe Ortiz. I have full confidence in Justin Herbert. And I have full confidence in our defense with Jesse Minter. There's everything you got to feel excited about through this. And so, show off your high voltage, everybody, because this is where it is the last preseason game until we are ready for the NFL regular season. So, this is going to be the season many people are going to want to remember. And mind you, this AFC West, to be the best, you have to beat the best in Kansas City. The Broncos already named their starter, Bo Nix, so they're riding with him for 13 straight weeks. And then there's the Raiders, who we got at week 1, with Antonio Pierce now being the everyday head coach. Their quarterback is Gardner Minshew. I'm not afraid of him. And even after with the proof that we saw that apparently the Raiders may not be able to figure out that rushing capability that the Chargers are building up, makes me very confident that we're going to get our strong payback against the Raiders. Screw them. Because, man, I cannot wait until we start taking names. I got receipts on everybody. I got receipts on the Raiders. I got receipts on the Titans because that should have never been a loss last year. And our biggest receipt is the Kansas City Chiefs. Rightfully so. So, bring it on. I'm ready for it. I hope you guys are ready for it. Show off your high voltage in the chat with Thunderbolts everywhere because I am excited for this season and I can't wait for it to get started sooner. So let's make this a great season, guys. Let's make it happen. For all of us Charger fans, Jim Harbaugh knows the objective. He knows what he needs to do. So I'm all for it. But I appreciate all of you guys for being here and hanging out with me here on this live stream of Charger Syndicate. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share it out to every Charger fan up out there. Because I also am going to see if I can get into a really good Chargers charter out here in Denver. I know there definitely is one. I followed them up on Facebook. So I would definitely love to show off Charger Syndicate up out there because they need to know. And I mean, we just had a rainstorm. What does that tell you? Being here in Denver, that means there's a storm coming. Denver knows it. I'm sure my hometown in Las Vegas, they know it. So let's show off that storm. All right? because they cannot tame that storm. So let's make it a great one. Appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. Like, subscribe, share it out, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date on future live streams and videos that I will have here for you guys. Jake Silva signing off on the Chargers Syndicate. Have a great night, guys, and we shall see you guys soon. And get prepared for week 1 with a lot of our collaborations that we will have here up on Chargers Syndicate. I'm excited for it for the regular season. I have a lot of collaborations to go for or to bring around. So keep up with me all season long, guys. Really excited about it. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we will see you guys when we get ready for week 1 against the Raiders. Let's enjoy this preseason. I will also have my recaps up on it afterwards. Check me out on my TikTok channel as well. I do have my TikTok profile, same thing, Chargers Syndicate as well. So go up onto that because that's where I also have all of my videos as well. So check it out, guys. Make sure you follow me up on there. Let's get to 1K there. Let's get to 1K here on YouTube. Appreciate all of you guys. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you